Hey everyone, Brian Odian with another episode of VikingCloud CyberIntel. Have you ever heard of the phrase, and if you believe that, I have a bridge to sell you, to insinuate that someone might be gullible? It was spawned from the exploits of one George C. Parker, who in the late 1800s and early 1900s repeatedly sold the Brooklyn Bridge in New York to unsuspecting victims on the basis that the buyer could control access to the bridge. Police had to remove several attempts by so-called owners placing toll booths on the bridge. Reportedly, he went on to sell Madison Square Garden, Grant's tomb, and even the Statue of Liberty. How did he even get away with such scams? Well, he produced convincing forged documents to show that he had legal ownership of the properties. It was all smoke and mirrors. Today's scams really haven't changed that much. They've just gone digital. Often people who part with their money to a scammer are convinced that they're buying a product or service. On multiple occasions, I've had to help elderly ones who were convinced they were buying a 10-year license to a security product because the person on the phone had told them that they had just been breached. We've all heard of such scams. Once upon a time, if there was a bank robbery, someone would just bust through the doors in a balaclava and yell up, "Put up your hands and give me all your money." Today, that's called ransomware. I could go back as far as 193 AD when the Roman Praetorian Guard assassinated Emperor Pertinax and then auctioned off his imperial title, which they had no right to do, to Julianus, whose reign would end a short time later with his own assassination. Scams are as old as time, but today they're getting harder to identify with the rise of AI and deepfakes. Recently, in episode 7 of this series, you would have heard me speak of a finance worker at a multinational firm who was tricked to paying out $25 million to fraudsters using deepfake technology to pose as the company's chief financial officer on a video conference call. He was firmly convinced the people were real. So how do we avoid being taken in? Well, there's nothing wrong with a little healthy skepticism and the use of some critical thinking skills to avoid being the victim of scams. What's critical thinking? Monash University here in Australia defined it as a kind of thinking which you question, analyse, interpret, evaluate, and make judgment about what you read, hear, or say. The term comes from a Greek word that's basically able to judge or discern. So good critical thinking will help us to make good decisions on reliable information. Fact-check information and verify the sources to make reliable calls on what you do online. Look out for common signs such as amazing opportunities or people you haven't met needing help or links and attachments and emails, the usual suspects. Question your own assumptions if need be and ask someone more experienced on their take of the situation. After all, the definition of modesty goes hand in hand with knowing your limitations. Be modest if you aren't sure and ask someone else. George C. Parker, who we spoke of earlier, spent his last days in Sing Sing prison, the same place many of us would like to see scammers end up. But until that time, we need not end up victims if we think things through and maybe just take a moment for a second opinion from a more experienced person. Until next time, stay vigilant, stay informed, and stay secure.